All right, we are back. For our next two data points, we've got a couple of tight ends to talk about. Ray's going to go all the way to the top here of the tight end leaderboard. Let's hear it, pal.
Yeah, we've got to show some love and talk about this great tight end. And I came up with this heading too, this Jordan loving some Kraft. I came up with that. That was all GQ, man. But Tucker Kraft is balling right now, Matt Harmon, and the good people watching this show. Amongst tight ends through week 8, he's third in receiving yards, second in yards per catch, second in receiving TDs, first in yak, everything. First in catches of 40-plus yards, first in passer rating when targeted. But Jordan Love, Matt Harmon, number 1 in the NFL in EPA per dropback. Now, Tucker Kraft is the star and the player that we're focused on right now, and for good reason. I think this offense, we've been searching for who the wide receiver 1 is going to be. Where's Jordan Love's guy? He needs a 1. He's got to find his version of Devontae Adams the way that Aaron Rodgers had that guy when he was in Green Bay. But the more you look at this offense, I don't think this is a bad thing. It may be a little frustrating for fantasy, but once you sort of accept what the situation might be, I think it'll be a little easier for us. It feels like the Packers are deploying Tucker Kraft in a similar way that the Kansas City Chiefs sort of built their team around Travis Kelce back in the gap, 2018, 2019, 2020, where like that was the engine of the offense. Yes, your quarterback was there. Yes, they had Tyreek Hill. Yes, they had some other cast of characters that they ran the ball with, but Travis Kelce was the focal point of this offense, and it opened things up for the other pass catchers. Green Bay got back Christian Watson, and you know what he did? He went right out there and did the same stuff that Christian Watson always does. Gets down the field. Jordan Love is playing this. We're all feeling it when we watch him, right? Just don't throw it, don't throw it, don't throw it. Then he throws it and it's complete, right? He's just, there's no pass, there's no window that Jordan Love has seen that he's afraid to go through. I think once you look at this offense and with the addition of Christian Watson, I'm still not out on Matthew Golden and the talent that he can be. And we've already talked about Dobbs is who he is, that consistent option right here. Like this is quietly turning into a great situation for Tucker Kraft, but I still think people are sleeping on the upside and the ceiling that a player like Jordan Love can bring. And my question to you, Matt, do you think in any way, shape, or form that one of these wide receivers will figure it out and be the quote-unquote 1, or is the 1 just Tucker Kraft? And you just sort of, in the same way we live around Los Angeles, right? We live around QJ and you're starting them and Ladd, and maybe there's another conversation now. You just kind of roll them out there because you're betting on good offenses. Is that what we have in Green Bay right now?
I think Kraft is easily the 1 in this offense. And, that was the right answer and why I loved taking this guy as like a 9th round pick in drafts this year. And I have a lot of him because when you're looking for that kind of breakout tight end, a guy to really take the step and become a fantasy difference maker at this position, the best way to do it is to find somebody who, 1, is on the field all the time, and 2, is he can lead his team in targets. He can be the guy in his team's offense, because if you just look at tight ends right now who are in the top 35 in terms of target share, like overall in the league, number 1 is Trey McBride, 7th overall among all pass catchers. He obviously is a fantasy difference maker at tight end. We know that. Number 28 is Tyler Warren, but that's kind of a lot of guys are activated in that offense, right? No, but like Michael Pittman's having a great year. I saw you post about that today. I'm going to talk about a Colts pass catcher a little bit later on. Kyle Pitts is shockingly 31st in terms of team target share, but Drake London is the dude there. We know that. Tucker Kraft is 33 in terms of overall target share in the NFL right now. He is getting the top usage on this offense among the pass catchers, and he is on the field for 92% of the snaps because he's a great blocker as well. He's always going to be on the field because he's valuable in both phases. So he checked those boxes as that breakthrough tight end, and they're continuing to add things onto his plate. Like, this is only a third-year guy, Ray. I think we're starting to see him run more intentional routes. Like they kind of they got him in a stack on Sunday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, in man coverage, quick hitter, and then he just rumbles after the catch because he's incredible. So, yeah, I think Kraft is the guy here. As for everybody else on this team, I kind of think it's going to be the same as what it always is. It's just guys filling their roles and filling it well on this offense, but being very inconsistent from a fantasy perspective. And I'll share these stats with Matthew Golden that I think perfectly encapsulate exactly what I'm talking about there. Matthew Golden, among wide receivers, 94 wide receivers that have 20-plus targets on the season. He's third in EPA per target, ninth in success rate when targeted, 17th in yards per target, but he's 41st in first downs per route, 53rd in yards per route, and 79th in targets. So if you catch my drift there, good when throwing the football, not throwing the football very often, which is kind of the story of the Packers wide receivers.
Yeah, and to think, Matt, they still don't have Jaden Reed on the field. They still don't have Jaden Reed on the field. I think when you look at this team, there are a lot of, I think Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson are good wide receivers. And anywhere else, their light might shine a little bit more. But to your point, they still want to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. Tucker Kraft, they're designing plays to go to him first, right? They're designing first read. And that's when you really start to like, okay, they're designing some first read stuff to get the ball to Kraft. Dobbs is going to do his thing week in and week out. It feels like outside of some real sick leagues where people are just dialed in every single week, that there's probably still a chance for you to move a player like a Tyler Warren. Like, would you rather have Warren or Kraft rest of the season, folks out there in the chat? Warren or Kraft? Brock Bowers or Tucker Kraft? If you're not truly buying into Kyler Murray, is there a way to pivot into what I think we're going to look up at the end of the season? And what we do, Matt, is when we're in the fantasy season and we see the amazing thing happening, right? When we see Saquon Barkley's going on this crazy run, we see what Jonathan Taylor's doing right now, we feel like, it's too late. I don't want to trade for him now. I don't want to give up too much. No, like, here it is. What I don't want to do is pay for Jonathan Taylor's 2025 season in 2026. I don't want to pay for Tucker Kraft's breakout that's happening in front of us right now. I don't want to wait until next year to play the price. I want that on my fantasy roster right now. Jordan Love is dialed in. This Green Bay Packers offense is efficient, and this is the number one option on the team. I'd be trying like hell at the onesie position. If I can get him and lock that up, man, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
I like this a lot, and it all comes back to the quarterback, too, who I think is playing a lot better than people realize. I just want to give one quick caveat here that the Packers offense was so perfectly equipped to smoke that Steelers defense, which has a load of problems right now. In addition to the fact that they're just a very basic scheme, they're also old and slow, and this Packers team is young and fast. Sometimes football can just be simple like that. But Week 9, Carolina Panthers, that's another gettable matchup for Tucker Kraft and Jordan Love. Week 10, Philadelphia Eagles. That defense is obviously taking a step back. Week 11, New York Giants. Week 12, Minnesota Vikings. In Detroit for the Lions, week 13, Bears, week 14. Like, there's some spots here where this offense can continue to roll. So I do think Jordan Love remains a little bit underrated as a fantasy quarterback. And your guess is as good as mine, buddy, in terms of how this rotation is going to work when Jaden Reed is eventually back healthy, and you've got Matthew Golden and Wicks is eventually back. It's just that all these guys fill their role well. And I don't think anybody deserves to lose opportunities in playing time, which is the tough part if you're hoping that Golden pops off.
Agreed, 100%. And I think the real winner here is the people listening to this tight end segment, because not only did Tucker Kraft sort of do his thing, Matt Harmon, you got a tight end that you want to talk about that seems to be like the hottest name in the fantasy football world right now. So I'm going to kick it to you, big dog.
No question. Yeah, let's talk about Oronde Gadsden there out in the Los Angeles Chargers locker room. This guy, how real is this player? Well, over the last 3 weeks among tight ends, his 2.83 yards per route run ranks second. His 81% route participation ranks 11th. His 19% team target share, despite being a crowded room, that ranks 11th among tight ends. 8.27 air yards per target is third. So I think that's really the key here. He's not getting little dump offs or anything like that. He's getting real deal downfield targets in this passing game, and he's getting the type of usage that we like from a fantasy tight end. He's only blocking on 5% of his passing snaps right now, which is kind of similar to Jake Ferguson. His percentage of routes from the slot, 41%. His percentage of routes in line as like a true inline tight end, 43%. That's also similar to Jake Ferguson. I think that not that Gadsden, I think Gadsden actually has a much higher ceiling than Ferguson. Ferguson's a nice player, no disrespect to Ferguson, but I think Gadsden just has a freakier athletic ceiling than him. That's probably a good comp for how he can be used and deployed in the offense, what we're seeing from Ferguson this year. So to me, I want to have a conversation about the other pass catchers here, but I think we can cement the fact, Ray, that this guy's breakout is real and it causes ripple effects for the rest of the team. But for people that have this guy, he is an every week fantasy football starter at tight end right now.
Yes. Unequivocally. Hell, I would ask the producers to update that chat and kick Jake Ferguson out there and rerun the poll and throw Oronde Gadsden in there. I bet you we'd have some different answers. The chat, the good people on YouTube said Trey McBride, tight end 1, rest away. I would venture to say if we had Gadsden in this poll, he'd finish higher than 8% that Jake Ferguson got.
Probably.
The usage is real, Matt. That's the one, we say in fantasy football, the best predictor of fantasy points in the future is fantasy points in the past. The best predictor of damn fantasy points in the season is the way that the team is using the player. And right now, when you look over the last 3 weeks at the usage for the Los Angeles Chargers, it's been Ladd McConkey leading the way, Oronde Gadsden right behind him. Keenan Allen, a little further step back from those two guys. And then there's a massive, and I mean massive, gap on the next pass catcher, and it's Trey Harris. Granted, Quentin Johnston missed a week. Well, he missed 2 weeks. One game he didn't do a damn thing, and then they had he was out for an injury. But they've changed the consolidated attack of this offense. They are using him the same way that he was when he came into Syracuse as a collegiate wide receiver. They're using him like a big wide receiver. There was a point they came out in 12 personnel, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. He was one of the tight ends. Then they motion him out. So now he's got a mismatch on a damn will linebacker that can't cover him, and it was just barbecue chicken. They could do so many different things schematically with Gadsden because of his size, because of the athleticism. You don't go 7 for 68, 7 for 164, 5 for 77 touchdowns in back-to-back games, and then get that bottled back up. This is good for Justin Herbert the same way we talked about the Indianapolis Colts needing an easy button option for whomever that quarterback would be. It's been great for Daniel Jones having Tyler Warren. This unlocks the offense to do even more. Yeah, this is very much real this season. Dynasty, all of it. Real.
And they must trust him as a blocker because he's not one of these, he's only on the field and passing snaps, right? Like he's on the field pretty much all the time, like over 70% of the snaps. So, I mean, he's obviously he's got great NFL bloodlines. His dad was a former NFL wide receiver as well. We were showing this on the screen, how he's keeping him on the bench because that's where he's superstitious that if he puts him on the starting lineup because he's been on the bench, it might shake off his vibe there. So we love to see that. Thank you, Oronde Gadsden Sr. for helping us out there. We really appreciate that because this guy's balling. I love what your point about it's made the offense better. It's made Justin Herbert better. There was a point where it kind of started to feel like the offense was getting a little bit stagnated, right? And I think most of that was the offensive line, and Joe Alt being back, like that cannot be overstated how much of a difference that made on Thursday, having Joe Alt back out there to be the starting left tackle. But having this guy as an option in the middle of the field in some of those run after catch situations, very, very helpful to an offense that needed kind of that dimension. But let's talk about the pass catchers here. And what's the impact on these guys, the wide receivers? Now that Oronde Gadsden we've established is real and he's broken out, here's just some updated numbers on these Chargers wide receivers of late. Ladd McConkey's 34 targets the last 3 weeks trails only Jamar Chase in the NFL. So shout out to Ladd. I think we're back in the safe zone with him as clear-cut top wide receiver pass catcher on this team. I feel pretty safe about that. You can tell me if you disagree. Keenan Allen, meanwhile, has played under 50% of the snaps in the last 3 games. Trey Harris is at 60%. Some of that is, Ray, because Trey Harris started that game for Quentin Johnston as the X receiver, but it's also because they kind of trust Trey Harris as the blocker in like single wide receiver sets. He's been out there to block, but he's also made some plays as a receiver as well. So he's kind of quietly digging into Keenan Allen's snap count in a weird way. Keenan's actually the guy who's only out there on passing downs right now. He's still running routes on about 68 to 69% of the dropbacks, but he's just not a full-time player right now. And I think some of that is because Gadsden is used in the slot as well. But the real problem here is that Quentin Johnston, couple of disturbing stats for him. JJ Zachariason actually texted me this today. Fantasy Points had Quentin Johnston's 13% go route rate during his first 5 games. These last 2, it's up to 36%. And Laquan Jones from the NFL Network shared that Quentin Johnston is the first Chargers wide receiver in the Justin Herbert era to generate 0 targets running 20-plus routes in a game. That was from last week. So that sends off sacrificial X-receiver vibes to me. If we're doing all this fun stuff with slot receivers and tight ends, somebody's got to clear space out, and right now that guy is QJ.
He is a boom-bust touchdown guy. And there was a play where Justin Herbert hit Ladd McConkey. I believe it was on a dig. QJ was wide open. Had he just looked up, he was wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I mean, schematically, it makes sense. Let's get this big X receiver, streak him down the field, clear out the path, occupy safety, pull a defensive back there, and then we're going to run Oronde Gadsden underneath. We're going to get the ball out quickly to Ladd McConkey. I mean, if you're asking me, based on what this team has done over the last 3 games, it is very clear what they're trying to do. They're prioritizing getting Ladarius McConkey the ball, and they doing that. Ladarius is balling out. They're prioritizing Oronde Gadsden as that other big field stretching mismatch move tight end. Keenan Allen still the veteran sort of safety outlet, and Quentin Johnston is occupying the sacrificial X role. That's what's happening. And they're finding, and what's hurting him even more is that they're finding success running the ball. So there's 20 opportunities that's going to Kamani Vidal out of the backfield. Justin Herbert probably run the ball at least, 6 times a game over the past 4 or 5 games. He's running the ball. So he never was living on volume anyway. He was living on big play stuff. And when that starts to slow down, the volume dips to any degree, it's going to pull back. The best thing working for him is he is a part of a good offense. He will get down the field. He will score a touchdown here and there, but consistency is going to be a problem for him. It's Ladd, it's Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I think I like the way you frame that it's not like over for Quentin Johnston. You just got to accept that the ride is going to be very bumpy. And you pointed out that Ladd McConkey dig route, QJ was open downfield. I would actually say one of the Justin Herbert scrambles in the red zone. Quentin Johnston is truly WAO, like wide open in the end zone for a big in-breaking route. And, Herbert just takes off and scrambles instead. So you can take that and say, like, hey, there are still some opportunities. Like, I still think he has made a step forward as a player. And the next 2 weeks, I will say, if you're looking to chase that QJ bounce back, Tennessee Titans this week, they get fried on deep passes. Week 10, Pittsburgh Steelers, they get fried by everything. So, I mean, shoot, like we could see a QJ bounce back here at some point. Like I wouldn't totally give up on him, but you just got to accept that the role he is playing now after the breakout of Gadsden is much, much different.